ready?
Jason, whenever you're ready. Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Monday, August 15th, 2022 Board of Selectmen meeting. Could you all join us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we didn't have anybody for public comment. Approval of the warrants. Jason, do you have those?
Yes. I'll make a motion to approve payroll warrant in the amount of $208,438.61.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? None. All in favor? Unanimous. Jason, we got a little feedback there. Bill warrant.
Make a motion to approve bill warrant 2307 in the amount of $519,874.94, which breaks down to the town bills of $162,647.94. Payroll withholding, $35,961.31. Revolving grants, $82,426.83. Water and sewer, $13,256.19. And the light department, $225,582.67.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? None. All in favor? Unanimous. Approval of minutes, July 5th, 2022.
I'll make a motion to approve the July 5th, 2022 meeting minutes.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? None. All in favor? 4 in favor. Mark, you weren't there, you'll abstain. 4 in favor, 1 abstain. Yeah. I don't blame you.
I'll make a motion to approve July 18, 2022 meeting minutes.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? None. All in favor? 4 in favor, 1 abstained. Thursday, November 4th, executive session.
I'll make a motion to approve November 4th, 2022 executive session minutes.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? None. All in favor? 4 in favor, 1 abstain. November 9th, 2022, that was a Tuesday night, executive session.
I'll make a motion to approve November 9th, 2022 executive session meetings.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
I
None? Yes?
made the correction on those. Is that the
Um,
one that I corrected?
Yes.
Yes, so I just sent it to Rebecca, so it says Tuesday, November 9th instead of Monday.
Yes. All in favor? 4 in favor, 1 abstained. November 15th.
I'll make a motion to approve November 15th, 2022 executive session minutes.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? None. All in favor?
We need,
4 in favor, 1
we-
abstained.
in attendance at November 15th, just a point of information so we can revise, was just 3 of us. On November 15th, is that what we're voting on?
Yes.
Okay, so just Ed, myself, and Jason can
Yes.
vote. Okay.
Duly noted in the minutes. All in favor? 3 in favor, 2 abstained. November 22nd, executive session minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve November 22nd, 2022 executive session minutes.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? None? All in favor? 4 in favor. You in favor, Dan?
Yeah.
Yeah, 4 in favor, 1 abstain.
All right.
Yes, you have a question?
No, just point of order, you guys are approving minutes for something that happens in like 4 months.
Yep.
November 2022 is.
Actually, it's 2021. I apologize. I should have caught that when he was reading them.
Thank you,
Right.
Chris.
It was during the time we didn't have, so I was doing them.
Yeah, it's on our paperwork, 2021, but it's on the,
Yeah.
the agenda says 2022.
The-
I think we all appreciate the efficiency.
All right, that was November 22nd.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Appointments of the board. Appointment of Bill O'Neill, 45 Elm Park, Groveland, to the Finance Board as an alternate member effective August 15th until June 23rd, 2023. And we don't have any paperwork on that.
I'll make a motion to appoint Bill O'Neill of 45 Elm Park Grove as an alternate to the Finance Board, effective August 15th until June 23rd.
There's a motion, there's a second.
I'll second it for purposes of making an amendment.
Motion and a second. You had an amendment?
Yes,
Kathy?
I'd like to amend the motion to appoint Bill O'Neill of 45 Elm Park, Groveland, to the Recreation Committee effective August 15th until June 23rd, 2023, and as an alternate to the Finance Board effective August 15th until June 23rd, 2023.
Okay, there's an amendment to also appoint him to the Finance Board and the Recreation Committee until June 23rd, 2023. Was there a second on that? Jason, you made the motion, but you didn't second, Kathy seconded it.
I'll accept the friendly amendment.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any discussion? Kathy, go ahead.
Yes, so I wasn't here at the last meeting when there was the vote 2-2 regarding appointing Bill O'Neill to the Recreation Committee. It's my understanding Recreation Committee does need another member. I've made contact with a couple of members of the Recreation Committee, and they feel that Bill would be a good addition to the Recreation Committee because they have lost people that have had more history and things like that on the committee, and they also will have a need for people with financial background to look into grants and things when they're absorbing the trails things. So I think that he would be a very suitable addition to the Recreation Committee as a full-time member, and obviously with his background in the Finance Board, if as an alternate, he would only need to go if they were short-staffed. So I have no problem making him an alternate to the Finance Board at the same time. I don't think there's any conflict.
Okay, anybody else? I'll make a comment. When I take a vote, I have to take a vote what's in the best interest of the town of Groveland, and I'm going to be a negative on both of these. Any other discussion?
Mr. Chairman?
Go ahead.
So when I take a vote, I explain why I'm voting yes or no, and I explained in the case of Bill O'Neill that I feel that his prior volunteerism to the town on the Financial Board makes him a perfect alternate, because it's hard for someone to jump in when they're short-handed for a quorum. And I think that his financial background and his past history of volunteerism in the town, when he offers to volunteer on the Recreation Committee and they have openings, I feel that it makes good sense and it's the best interest of the town to put volunteers on our board so that there's more people to do the work. I don't think they all have to think the same way, but I think everybody brings a skill set and brings a spirit of volunteerism to it. So I would ask if there's a reason to vote no. I don't know of it, and I would be interested to hear.
You don't know what?
I don't know why you would not be in favor of someone who wants to volunteer for the town.
I think I stated it, I don't know how to state it any simpler, that in the best interest of the town, I'm going to have to vote no on both. And I understand that we're looking for volunteers, but it's our position to get the best people qualified into these positions, and at this time, I can't support it. I have to take personalities out of it and look at what's in the best interest of the town of Groveland. Anybody else? No? Ready for a vote? All in favor? 3 in favor, opposed, 2 opposed, motion carries. Next, appointment of Danielle Albright, 41 Taylor River Estates, Hampton, New Hampshire, to the position of Economic Development Planning and Conservation Administrative Assistant, effective July 29th, 2022. This is a 10-hour-a-week position at the rate of $21 an hour.
I'll make a motion to appoint Danielle Albright, 41 Taylor Rivers Estates, Hampton, New Hampshire, to the position of Economic Development Planning and Conservation Administrative Assistant, effective July 29th, 2022.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Dan?
Yeah, what's the necessity for a new position here? I mean, we had some budget problems in the last couple of years at least. We eliminated the assistant to the Board of Selectmen. That has not been replaced. We've had several discussions negotiating contract and payroll in the past year, and we're tight on money. So my position is we shouldn't be adding any new positions. We should have a hiring freeze until we stabilize what was and what should be again before we start hiring. And, you know, for whatever it's worth, I mean, I thought it was premature hiring a town planner years ago, part-time, and it morphed into a full-time position. Now it seems like it's, you know, 1+. So the bureaucracy continues to grow. We're tight on money. We cut $103,000 out of the budget a few months ago, and we hit stabilization for about $200,000 the prior year, plus or minus. So no, it's not the time. Not in this economy either. Thank you.
Point of information, Mr. Chairman. We need to clarify for the record that the assistant position went through the budget process, was duly discussed by the Financial Board and by this Board of Selectmen, who recommended for it on the town meeting floor. It was voted by a town meeting. It is our duty to implement the will of the town meeting. That is what we're elected to do. It's one of our primary and most important duties. The town planner position was also debated and discussed while I was on the Finance Board several years ago, and I was not a fan at first, but after several discussions with Jim Freer about how much paperwork he was lugging home and the future of our town and the future of controlling growth and making sure that we're on top of these things, made it clear to me that we needed that position. So it was, again, duly brought through the budget process, duly discussed at an annual town meeting, and voted as such. And I feel that it's improper to inform the public that we are expanding positions right now, because one position was voted 3 years ago and the other position was voted at our last annual town meeting. So we are not sitting here tonight creating a position. We are sitting here tonight to implement the vote of the annual town meeting.
Can you hear her back? Not well. No? If everybody could speak a little louder so that they can be heard in the back of the room. Anybody else?
Excuse me?
Yeah, Mr. Chair.
Excuse me. Are you telling me to speak louder?
Well, she couldn't hear you. So I would ask anybody
could you hear me in the back of the room? Thank you.
over here on the left, they couldn't hear you. To our left, to the right. Anybody else on the board?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Mike, can
Yes.
you hold on?
As far as what Kathy Cashnell says about my duty to implement the vote of the town meeting, I'm nobody's rubber stamp. If anybody has known me over the years, I question just about everything. I scrutinize things, and if I don't like something, I speak up. Okay, and you know, I respect the finance board. I respect the process, but you know, there is a diversity of opinion here. And the budget broke in the last couple of years. We had trouble with everything from the trash contract. We got blindsided by some school budget issues. And we're not going to do it again. So the duty of the Board of Selectmen, in my opinion, is to pay attention to reality and make adjustments as we go. And if we can spend less money than the omnibus, we have no legal duty to spend at least that and then some. We can spend less. And if it's not the proper time to fill the position, we don't have to. Otherwise, what do you need my vote for? Maybe I should go home. It's just do whatever town meeting says, and we'll just, you know, get a machine sitting up here. So I question what Kathy says, and it's not my duty to just rubber stamp whatever happens at town meeting. Thank you.
Mark, you had a question?
No, no.
I just have a couple of comments quickly. Danielle right now works in the treasurer's office, and this would boost her up to a full-time position, half the time in the treasurer's office, half the time in economic development and planning. And I know that a lot of departments in the town can use administrative help, clerical work, and I'm not sure that this is the time to have somebody boosted up to a full-time position. I think my interpretation, this was going to be a part-time position, and it wasn't, it was going to be a non-benefited position, but this, because she's already working half the time for the treasurer's office, this would boost her up to a benefit position, and I'm not sure that we could sustain that. And that the selectman's office could use an administrative assistant, as could probably the town clerk's office could use additional help. And I'm sure, I know the highway superintendent could use some clerical help. And I'm just not sure that this is the right time to boost somebody up and have to pay full benefits to, which, when we passed it, I was under the understanding it was going to be a part-time position, non-benefit eligible, and now because of how it's being done, it's going to boost this person up to a full-time position, benefit eligible. Anybody else?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Again, I'll ask our town administrator. The current person that we're seeking to appoint to this position is already working 30 hours a week and is already benefit eligible.
Correct.
So is there a change to the cost of our benefits for this individual to take on 10 more hours of work?
No.
So there's no benefit cost to the town for this person to take on the 10 hours a week. And looking at her resume, just to add to it, she has relevant work experience both in the treasury and in the planning area, and an excellent resume of education, both a bachelor's degree, an associate's degree, a really great work history. I think we're lucky to have her as our assistant treasurer, and I feel that it's really hard to fill these 10-hour-a-week positions and to keep people in a 10-hour-a-week position. And since if we have somebody in-house with the proper skill set that's willing to take on those additional hours and is already doing a fantastic job from what I hear in the assistant treasurer position, so has a proven track record, I'm all in favor of giving those extra hours to do that additional job to the in-house person.
Okay,
So-
duly noted. Mike, do you want to speak on this?
Yes. So Mike Dempsey for the Conservation Commission. So about 2.5 years ago, the commission agreed with working with Rebecca to consolidate the commission, along with the planning board, zoning, and a couple of other smaller committees into a single department for efficiency purposes, primarily because there's a lot of intercommunication between those departments. So up until October of last year, 2021, the department had staffing that included a full-time planner and also a part-time 18-hour per week environmental program coordinator / agent. So that was our status as of last October. And then in October, as you know, when Rebecca became the town administrator, we were able to boost up the hours that the agent had to make it full-time, to have her cover the planning portion of the job and not have that go away. So unfortunately, however, the department lost 18 hours per week of essential staff at that time. So what's being proposed tonight is not an add-on, a new job, or anything. It's really just filling a position that was emptied when we had Rebecca become the town administrator from being the planner. So right now, as I say, we have one full-time position, and that position's responsible for managing planning board, zoning board, conservation commission, Elm Square committee, and also the comprehensive plan committee. It includes taking minutes, publishing them, agendas for all these committees, reports, site visits, project reviews, permit preparations for all the boards. And this position is also the town representative to the Merrimack Valley Planning Commission and coordinates between all of the boards in the department with the Board of Health and the building inspector, who we also work closely with. So unfortunately, the department cannot adequately provide all of the essential services that we're being tasked with to Groveland citizens. It requires a full-time and a part-time employee, and we only have a full-time employee currently. So unfortunately, I don't like to say this, but the citizens of Groveland are getting cheated because the citizens voted to approve this part-time position, and it's not there. It was approved back, to take place July 1st. Where is it? It's not there. So I urge you tonight to fill the position and help us to improve the many services that the department is responsible for and provides for the town. Thank you.
Anybody else? No. Ready for a vote? Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Thank you. Chris Goodwin, 550 Drive, and I am chairman of the zoning board as well. I'll be brief because I think Mike stated all my points very well. Definitely in favor of this position. Not only I think the work is there to validate, a part-time 10-hour position. I think the boards that the department supports could very much use the assistance, as well as that, modernizing that department a little bit with all the digitizing of past documents, stuff that would be an asset to the town as well. So, very much in favor for this.
Thank you. And Mike usually does cover everything.
I just want to say also, my name is Stephanie Bartelt, 18 Chestnut Street. I'm on the Conservation Commission as well, and I worry that if we don't support Annie Schindler in her work, that we could lose this very valuable person. I do not want her overworked and burnt out.
Okay.
So Rebecca, this isn't gonna cost us any more
No,
in benefit-wise?
not in benefits, correct. And it has been budgeted at town meeting.
Mr. Chairman?
Go ahead.
I'll be real quick. Because I'm always the numbers person, I looked back to see, when we added this position, did we add more money to that whole category? And in fact, we had a lower budget for the whole planning, conservation, and zoning. It went down to a total of $92,000, whereas the prior year, it was $113,000. So as far as, I know we're all concerned about how tight the budget is, and we're always looking for ways to have people wear multiple hats and get as much work as we can out of people. But I think in this case, we're already getting more than we should out of Annie, and that this position will be very supportive in the town hall, and I think we should bring it in at the 10 hours, and then we could see how it works out. We did vote it, so, and it is a lower budget compared to the prior year.
Okay. Nobody else? We're ready for a vote? All in favor? 4 in favor, opposed? 1 opposed. Thank you. Next, appointment of Bergen Daly, 202 Country Club Way, Ipswich, the position of Youth Services Librarian at the library effective August 23rd, 2022, full-time position, 37 hours a week, $21.47 per hour.
I'll make a motion to appoint Bergen Daly of 2202 Country Club Way, Ipswich, to the position of Youth Services Librarian at Langley Adams Library, effective August 23rd, 2022, for a full-time position, 37 hours a week, at a rate of $21.47, pending a quorum.
And
Second?
motion and a second, and we have the recommendation of the library director, and this is to fill a position that somebody left. Lee, you wanted to speak?
Sure, just quickly, I wanted to thank Rebecca and Darcy for moving so quickly on this. We had to go the summer without a youth services director, so it's a really nice appointment to be able to make, and I wanted to thank Rebecca and Darcy for stepping up and doing it.
Well, thank you.
And I endorse the candidate.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any other discussion? None, all in favor? Unanimous. Thank you. Next. Votes. Special permit, North Shore Cyclist Incorporated, Ray Best Bike Ride and Picnic on September 25th, 8 to 2. Rebecca, maybe you could give some clarification. We voted on this, I think, with the last meeting, but there's a change in date or change in time.
Correct, Mr. Chair. This event was approved at our August 1st meeting for September 4th, and there were some current concerns about attendance, so they wanted to reschedule the event for September 25th.
Okay. Any discussion?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Did we ask for a route to give to the police, and have they done so?
We did, and they have.
Oh, perfect.
I wasn't at the meeting, but I saw in the meeting that you asked about, well, the question was raised about, do you need the Board of Health, health agent to sign off on the food or not?
So they're still determining whether or not they will bring food or have pizza, and are in contact with the health agent to make sure that they're in the confines of the regulations.
Perfect. So we need to just revote?
Two things.
Go ahead.
Are they gonna, the bathrooms, they're gonna be using the bathrooms down there, I'm assuming? Is there any way we can make them pay to have them clean for that specific day, or, because
That's at the discretion of the board.
clearly it's always a mess down there with our wonderful residents we have. So, I don't know, I think we should do something about that, make them pay for that one day somehow. Any ideas?
Rebecca, we do have a
Mission
a field use permit. I don't remember what the cost was for that.
I don't believe there was a
Like we-
cost. It's included in the packet.
Because I'm just thinking everybody that uses the boat ramp pays for a key. Everybody who uses the baseball fields pays to use the baseball fields. I mean, it's just a thought.
No, it's a good thought.
I don't think it's a bad idea. There was no fee on the application that we have. But it does leave room for a fee, I believe, under the special conditions.
Do you want to make a motion on a dollar figure in mind?
Well, what would be a fair thing, fair price? I mean, what does it cost to have Steve come in and do it daily, you know, on the weekends and whatnot? Would it be like $50, $100? Is that too much?
So it says, I think it's an older permit because it doesn't mention our bathrooms. It mentions trash removal, to contact the health office if there's anything, and then it mentions portable toilets, temporary food permit, contact the health department, raffle licenses, contact the selectman's office, field permit, contact selectmen, and then Pines Field Lights permit was $25 for each 1.5 hours, and you would go through the selectman's office. So you'd have to take a look at Steve's hourly rate.
And I'm not trying to, you know, make profit off of it, just, we should do something to kind of cover our costs of, you know.
Well, to be fair, if we're charging for the use of the fields,
Yeah,
then
I
when
mean-
someone wants to permit the use of the park, it makes sense. I agree. I agree.
It's not like it's Groveland's event being put on down there. It's, the other thing is too, are they gonna put spray paint marks all over our roads like every other time, or? Cause that drives me freaking crazy.
Probably.
Yeah, great. It was nice out on Bear Hill Road. They circled every single pothole.
On the other hand, it's kind of neat that
Oh,
we're
you-
becoming a
Going
destination.
to figure in there, Rebecca?
Yes.
No one knew we were here before.
I mean, 8 to 2, so, I mean, I'm just kinda guessing, but $50 to me seems like it would be fair,
It's a starting place.
something.
Yep.
And they gotta be cleaned either way, but with that, extra amount of people.
So hourly rate of $21.51 per hour, so 2 bathrooms, 3 hours, 4 hours,
To clean them?
2 hours.
That many extra people, so, I mean, if
2 hours would be more than enough. I think $50 is reasonable. I think it would be advantageous to add that to our field use or special event permit application. And that would apply for all the fields,
I definitely agree.
any of the fields that they want to use.
So we can add that as a conditional permit.
You want to make a motion to that effect with a fee?
really don't. Ah, God. I make a motion that we accept this, but add the $50 user fee to help offset the cost of cleaning the bathrooms
Bathrooms and picking up trash.
and picking up the trash, yeah.
All right, there's a motion. Is there a second on that?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? None? All in favor? Opposed? 4 in favor, 1 opposed. Next. Accept the resignation of Amanda Fisher as the Council on Aging Director effective August 19th, 2022. And we have a letter of resignation from Amanda.
I'll make a motion to accept the resignation of Amanda Fisher as a Council on Aging Director effective August 19th, 2022.
Motion,
Second.
motion and a second. Any discussion? Go ahead.
Thank you for her service. Appreciate it.
I echo those comments. Denise, Rebecca, any idea how long she was here?
I believe she started in January.
Oh, really? Okay. Any other discussion? None? All in favor? Unanimous. Accept the resignation of Brett Carlson as the cable technician effective August 20th, 2022.
I'll make a motion to accept the resignation of Brett Carlson as a cable technician effective August 20th, 2022.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Yes, go ahead.
Just to thank Brett for his service to the town. He was a high school student, and he was very diligent and did a great job, and I wish him well as I believe he's going off to college is his reason for his resignation. So wish him well in his next endeavor.
Okay, yeah, Brett did a good job. He was here for a few years. Actually, he started here before he was, had his license. Okay, the motion and a second. Any other discussion? None. All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you. Discussion and possible vote. Water and Sewer Union request to discuss premium pay update. And we got a letter from the Water and Sewer workers, and they had been before us a while back, and a nice presentation. Was it Matt? Did anybody here from the Water Department? Yeah, with
Matt's
Matt.
here.
Was it you that gave you had some pictures, you had some,
Some graphs and things like that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, lots of statistics, and I can come at it from a different angle if you want to go the water route. I was in Chesterton. I was in houses. We were going in and out of businesses and houses, changing valves, changing meters, backflow device testing. When after we flush hydrants, some people get dirty water. We have to go in there and flush their service. Contractors building houses, plumbers. We met with a bunch of people. So if people think it didn't come from the sewer, and it's people-to-people contact, we had plenty of that too. So any reason that you guys can't give it to us, we would like to know that too. And maybe if we could do a vote tonight and just be done with it, that would be awesome. We gave you guys the lead numbers down to the parts per million for the Bagnell School, which I think you guys wanted to do a study on and then discuss this. So that's already taken care of. So I'd like to discuss us getting a federally funded ARPA money bonus. It's not from the town. It's not in the tax money at all. It's federally funded just for COVID. And that's why we're here.
can you just stay up there in case anybody got any questions for you?
Sure.
Anybody got any questions?
Fire
Or, go ahead.
Well, I don't know if you're aware, we put ARPA funds toward an extensive study of the Bagnell School, the pipes, the lead, the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And we just got that back this summer, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so we haven't yet voted the use of, well, we voted some of it, did we, or not? That's what I'm looking, because I don't have an update on the amount of money we spent. Oh, sorry.
So we spent $45,000 on the study with the as-built drawings and the evaluation, and then at the last meeting, we had voted for the $414,990 to go towards the replumbing of the school. And Selectman Parento brought up a great point that we had just recently put in the service connection over at the addition, and that we should tie into that existing line instead of having to go through redoing the pipe that they had proposed for the $424,000. So I had the engineers take a look, and they're currently running calculations to see what the capacity would be and whether or not the line would need to be upsized, which would be a considerable savings. So I still haven't heard back from them on what that would do for the overall cost, but it will essentially mean that we don't need to move forward with the $424,771 that was proposed for the actual service entrance.
But we still have committed other funds, right, to the
We have,
Bagnell?
for
Right.
that, for the plumbing, yes, the $414,000 have been
Right.
allocated.
So I would need to see an update on what we've committed to our spending so far, because we were still waiting to hear back on things.
How much total did we get from ARPA?
From ARPA, was
Yeah.
it 2 million or?
We got $2,047,213.
Right.
No, I got common sense.
And the sheet I have here is only through the initial evaluation, and that was up to 1.4 million. I assume this is spent.
So the
Yeah.
remaining balance currently with what we have allocated and voted to allocate is about $148,000.
That's very tight. So,
And a quick reminder that the Water and Sewer Department is public health. I believe you guys gave public health employees the bonus. Firefighters and police.
no.
Firefighters and police got it. Our fire department is volunteer only, so people could have chose to go to these medical calls, fires, whatever. Also, you need water to put out a fire. And, we were there every single day. We didn't have an option. We were in there every day, and we just get slighted. And, if you're going to tell me the budget's tight, it's tight. I'd like a vote, please. Like, soon. What, $2 million, and we're asking for $6,000. It's a drop in the bucket for hazardous work. When everyone was cowering at home, we were pulling poop out of sewer pumps every other day. Human feces out of sewer pumps multiple times a week. Any questions about that? How many
Dan,
diseases are in that?
Yeah,
Besides COVID? Sorry.
I wasn't cowering at home. Take that back.
Not you, okay.
Take that back.
Yeah, 1 out of
And
5
I've had
of
the
us.
Chinese virus, all right? I still, you know.
I do remember you were in
fogged out.
favor of us
On
getting
a
it,
like
so.
12-week hangover from it.
Yeah. I had it too.
But,
I had it too.
yeah, what was the story you're saying, pulling out of the pumps and everything?
Yeah, the Clorox wipes that say flushable,
And
which
the
is
fire
true.
department, they show up because they show up. They
Oh, I don't
don't,
know.
it's not, they volunteer.
I'm not a member of the fire department,
sign on.
but there's a lot of people that work in town that got the bonus that work for the volunteer firefighters, and that's great. Public health, right? That's awesome. Good for them. What about us?
I was for it as long as we have the funds.
Yeah.
Okay, Mark, I guess spotted something that's gonna save us beaucoup dollars. Thanks, Mark.
You're welcome.
You know?
Group effort.
So, but for him, maybe you wouldn't get you $6,000, right?
Maybe, I don't know. That study was done in 2016, did that say? 2016, we tested all the lead bubblers at the Bagnell.
But we don't want to be Flint, Michigan, you know? There's no
Oh, yeah.
excuse for lead.
Another
and-
governmental
and-
problem.
and-
They switched the source of the water, and it
I don't
leached
want
lead out of all
Flint
the
to have
pipes.
the problems either, don't get me wrong. But, I mean,
yeah.
there's really no excuse in 2022 to have lead pipes.
Oh, they've been shut off
You
for.
know, you got a
they've been shut
$140 million new high school coming, and, you know, we got lead pipes in the bag now. I mean, it's just, come on, folks. So we're going to solve that problem. We got the money.
Yep.
If there's money left over, it doesn't diminish the importance of what you do or what the Board of Health does. But there's a triage on how we're going to spend money here, and no disrespect, you might be disrespected by it, but getting the lead out is more important to me than.
Right. So why in 2021,
Okay.
22, we're talking about it when we get the ARPA fund. When we did the study in 2016, and you knew the lead was in the pipes, they shut the valves to them, also not using them, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, we got to fix this right away.
Where was I in 2016?
I don't know.
I was
The
on
information was
sabbatical.
out there. Is the point. And now all of a sudden we have to use this funding money to do that instead of giving us. I don't like the word deserve because I don't. But we worked for it. You know, it was hazardous. It was very hazardous. So.
Anybody else?
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to say, I mean, I was at that time I was working for the highway department, and you know, I was right there with them guys doing different type of job. But I mean, it's about time this town starts taking care of their employees. You know, that were out there doing it. I mean, it's a thankless job, so I think they deserve it. If it's only $6,000, I mean,
Thank you.
yeah, it's just my
Rebecca,
opinion.
what would that leave us?
With what was the total? Was it gonna be based on the calculation that was put forward for the hours worked during the emergency like we did for the fire and police, or was there a different calculation? What,
Well, they were talking six grand, and I assume that was 2 for each. Matt, 2 for each?
Yeah, exactly. 3 of us, 2 for each.
And,
that's not how they did it for the police and fire.
the-
They put it into the Excel spreadsheet based upon the hours worked, so.
We can do
it was
that.
up
That's
to a
better.
max
well,
of-
well, what would it, you got your calculator there?
It's also in our contract during a state of emergency, we're paid double time. Just saying. State of emergency, I think I mentioned last time in my presentation, ended around March 2021.
Just to give Rebecca a few minutes to do a little calculations on
Sounds good.
abacus.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
I think the difficulty is that we don't know for sure yet what is left because we have not completed the commitment to the Bagnell School because we don't know about the hookup. I'm not a water person, so I'm not going to pretend I can talk about this intelligently. But the suggestion from Selectman Parento that could save us quite a bit from that study that was presented to us, we have not yet determined if that's a go or not a go. So I thought this board had, because Jason came to us with a proposal to give every employee who worked in the town some portion of the ARPA funds, trying to be, as you say, fair. And indeed, we'd like to be fair, but we need to make sure what money is there. And just kind of by way of explaining the logic behind the allocation of funds, what we've tried to do is to identify priorities in the town that would have cost capital expense in the budget, maybe an override or something, and try to avoid that. So that's why we targeted the lead that we knew we hadn't addressed yet, and we got the study done because the money was finally there to figure out what could be done to correct this in the school building so that we don't have to go forward with the water shut off through most of the building.
Yeah.
We also addressed a need in the fire department for a fire engine that was long overdue that we couldn't have afforded otherwise through the ARPA funds.
Excavator for the highway department.
Yes, yeah, it's like
Priority, we're talking about priorities.
right. So we're not trying to be unfair at all. I hope you can understand that, and we're not trying to drag it out. But myself sitting here tonight, I could not vote yes or no because I don't know what the status of the funding is, and I think honestly we need to wait till we have all the figures in to see where we are. And if you wanted to propose some type of calculation of call hours that people were on duty in the town, that would be represented, similar to what the fire chief and the police chief provided to us, that would be helpful. I'm not saying we could.
Cost money?
Excuse me?
Would that cost money to find that number out?
Cost money to.
To do that calculation and find
No,
out how
it
many
costs.
hours we worked?
No, Jason has the.
Let's
Excel-
please do that.
Okay,
let's-
yes, but
And then you can pay us based on our hours worked.
right.
Okay.
Okay, but the hours that you were actually physically on duty in the town.
Exactly.
Okay,
Have the
and
calendar if you'd
and
like
then
to
we'd
see.
have to see how much of money is available.
Okay.
And
if that number turns out to be some crazy number, can we go back to the 6,000 and we'll save everyone some money, please?
well, no. What about the other employees in town who were on duty?
Did they pull sewer pumps and go into businesses?
No,
and
but they
homes?
had contact with the public.
let's,
I mean,
again-
we did have that.
Yeah, so let's judge it based on the dangerousness of the job. Maybe, I don't know, you guys can figure that out. We just asked for what we asked for. I don't know about
Okay.
other departments. That has nothing to do with me.
I understand. but-
Figures? You have some
You take
figures,
it
Rebecca?
Risk basis.
Yes, so,
That's all right.
essentially, you,
It's on the slide.
with the letter that was also enclosed in your packet from the water and sewer superintendent, he had calculated their hours based upon the dates of the state emergency from March 10th, 2020 until June 15th, 2020. It looks like Jamie was at 2,417, Tom was at 2,383, and Matt was at 1,451 for a total, when you put it into the spreadsheet, allocation towards giving them all a bonus for the calculation that we did for both fire and police would be 5,600.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Now that's what, $1,700 or $17,000-ish, a little more?
No, it's total.
5,000 total.
Not five, something each.
If I would
Because we all work different hours, because I got
It would be
injured.
a
Right, but no.
max,
Yeah.
it would be a max of 2,000 for each employee, just like the police and fire, based upon the hours worked in the spreadsheet and the calculation. It'd be 2,000, 2,000, and 1,600.
Whatever, okay.
Anybody else? Dan?
Yeah, I mean, I work in the private sector, lowly position, lawyer, and I didn't get any bonus pay, and I was an essential worker, if you can go figure there, because I guess half the legislature more lawyers, so I went to work every day, and let me tell you, practicing law, pretty dirty job.
Yeah.
Okay, pretty
Lots of-
dirty job.
lots of people.
Listening to people complain about money and all kinds of things, and they put money before their health. You should listen to what I have to listen to, so. You should get a bonus, huh?
I would like to propose, though, if we don't
Oh,
all
you
get
know-
the
you know-
same bonus, we don't want it as a group.
But listen to me, seriously.
All right.
There's a lot of people that sacrificed, and last time, you said it yourself, I was supported, but we got to make sure we got the money.
Yep.
So
I understand.
can we leave it at that? It's
As long as you guys can give me like a date or something to look forward to, and we're not just forgot about and pushed aside, I'm cool. Or,
I'll
you know,
push
again,
it
just,
aside. It's just, I don't know where we're gonna get the bid on the lead paint, on the lead paint, lead pipes.
Do we have any movement on that?
So I just talked to the engineer today just to get an update because I knew this was on the agenda, and he had stated that they're still working on those calculations because they're not sure if it's a 4-inch or a 6-inch, and that will affect the way that they do their calculation for whether or not it needs to be upsized. So he stated that he would try and get me something by the end of next week. So then I will have more in terms of the actual costs associated with the service line.
You should have something within 2 weeks for the next meeting?
I should have something before the next meeting. I should.
Matt, how about if we look to bring this up at the next meeting? We might have more of a figure.
all right. Sounds good to me, yeah. Thank you.
Put it to bed.
What's that?
Put it to rest.
Yeah, I hope so. You know, it's been a long time.
All right, how about a motion to table till the next meeting?
Motion table.
Motion,
Second.
second. All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you for coming in. We'll get it done. Next. State election discussion, Chapter 92 of Acts of 2022, known as the Voters Act of 2022, police officer assignment. And we have the town clerk here. And can you just explain what we need for a vote? Why don't you head up to the podium and just explain how we want to word the vote. I think we had agreed at the last meeting, well, you fill us in.
Okay. So at the last meeting, you wanted to double check with Chief Gillen to find out if he had any concerns regarding police versus constables. So I did reach out to the chief, and he is comfortable with constables if I'm comfortable with constables, and yes, I am. So you just need to give me an actual vote to authorize me to use constables or police.
Okay.
So.
So we need a motion to allow constables to work the election, and that also includes outside? They'll look
Yes.
outside.
Yes.
We need a motion for that.
For
Kathy,
the
go ahead.
September 6th primary.
So you just want it for the one?
Yes, because we'll revisit it for the November election.
Okay,
Because
do you want me to reference this chapter 92 and everything in the motion, or just make the motion?
you can reference Chapter
Okay.
92 in the motion.
So I'll make a
because that's
motion-
the Votes Act of 2022.
Okay. So I'll make a motion that in compliance with chapter 92 of the Acts of 2022, known as the Votes Act of 2022, that constables will be assigned to work at the September 6th primary 2022, both inside and outside the voting.
Yes,
That the way you want it worded?
that's perfect.
All right, is there a second?
I'll second that.
And a second. We knew you would. Any further discussion? None. All in favor? Unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for
Thank
the
you.
explanation. Next, Town Council request for proposals, RFPs. Rebecca?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Recently, as we had noticed, and we got their fee schedule update, that the billing and their rates.
Hold on one second. Did we forget something? Oh. Oh, okay. Oh, you came running back in. I thought we missed something. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So that we had noted that their fees had increased, and the board had made reference to that, and then also due to some communication and response issues, it was suggested that we potentially go out for an RFP and see whether or not we can find new town council. I'd like to make sure that the board would like me to go forward with that process, so I'm just looking for some feedback and approval if that is the direction the board would like to go in.
Any comments by anybody? Dan?
Yeah, how would you word it? I think there's a couple ways you could go. You could do a hourly, that's what we have now, right? Or a set retainer where they, maybe some small firm or small practice would be happy to have a retainer for the year and not bill us hourly, kind of a part-time town solicitor, maybe? Could we run on 2 tracks and see if we get any bites?
Yeah.
You know, might be a sole practitioner that maybe retired from a bigger firm or something, or might be happy to have a retainer and, who knows, maybe a buy into the health insurance or something like that. I think if we keep it flexible with an eye on, you know, what we get for our money, you know, we need competent advice, timely, good service, callbacks, responsiveness, and lawyers are expensive, so doesn't hurt to bid it.
We want to vote on that?
If you'd like to.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Kathy, go ahead.
I just wanted to know, if we do the RFP, and I know we discussed it with you to do this, would this take effect next year or this year if we decided to do something on it?
So my understanding is that we don't technically currently have a contract with KP Law.
Okay.
So I don't believe that we're tied to any obligations with using them. If there's something that comes about during the process that we do find that, then it could be something that takes effect in the prior fiscal year. But it does in fact give us a little bit of a better understanding of what other legal services are out there and available. And if it's not in the best interest of the town to move forward with another firm, then we're held to no obligation by going out for bid.
Sounds perfect.
How are you going to notify? Are you going to notify individually each law firm that you come up with, or are you going to put it in the, like an advertisement in the, like the Beacon? How are we
I was
looking
gonna
at it?
put it out in an advertisement in some of the typical places that you would post an RFP.
Okay. Any comments, questions?
No, you can terminate your attorney at any point in time. Any point in time.
But you're looking for a vote.
If you'd like to vote to move forward with an RFP, I mean, it was just kind of the last time you discussed it, you just mentioned some dissatisfaction, and I know recently there was a couple of times that you all had tried to reach out to council at different points in time and were not responsive, and I know that we had a couple of issues with some billing and double billing for, you know, passing off an email to another attorney to answer it, and so we had just mentioned that maybe we should start looking at other options like we are with our auditor and like we are with some of our other consultants.
Okay, how about a motion?
Just a quick question in terms of numbers. If we paid the new rate with last year's billable hours, I mean, we'd be way over budget.
Yes, we're in good shape right now. Let's not do anything.
For now.
towards that, yeah.
Because we don't have any trouble. There's no smoke on the horizon.
Right now, right this second.
And a good lawyer keeps you out of trouble. They don't take you to court.
Sure.
Thank you.
Motion. To give Rebecca the okay to,
I'll make a motion to authorize Rebecca to post an RFP for town legal services.
is there a second?
Second.
And a second. Any further discussion? None? All in favor? Unanimous. Next up, town water ban discussion.
Where'd they go?
Hmm?
Where'd they go?
They ran out. I asked Rebecca if she put this on the agenda. I've been getting a lot of comments about, we have a town water ban, no outside watering, and the comments I'm getting is that the town should set the example, and there's some of the areas in town that have a well, and they should, comes off the same aquifer, and they should, the town should be shutting these off, like Elm Park, I'm not sure if that was shut off yet, but the soccer field, the baseball field, and I don't know if there's any others. I know that out front here was shut off. But I asked if she put it on there for a discussion, and also, I did see that Ipswich was one, and Rebecca, I think you had another one, that did a townwide ban, whether they were on a private well or on a public water supply, because it comes out of the same aquifer. And I know that Ipswich did it, and I know there was a couple of others that I read about, but you had another one, didn't you?
I only found Ipswich.
Oh, just Ipswich. Anybody got any comments on that?
I got questions.
Go ahead.
I mean, we're on the Merrimack River. Why, did that run out of water yet? I mean, why are we on a ban? Are they measuring water table? How do they measure it? I'd like to hear from the water guys, but, you know, sitting on a big sponge, and the source of it's the Merrimack River. And I drive over that bridge, right? No, it's not the Merrimack River. It's rainwater. Where's it from? Mike probably know. Huh?
Salt water up here.
It's salt water up here?
The tidal response is 12 miles.
So it's all groundwater from rain. Well, I'd like to know how they measure it. I'm just curious, you know. Set me straight. Is it arbitrary because everyone else is? You know?
Mr. Chairman?
You go ahead.
Yes, I mean, I've seen the maps of the state, and we're in the severe drought. So I think that watering, you know, for purely decorative purposes like my front lawn is not worth it. And letting it go brown and crunchy is what has to happen. But I do think that if we have smaller wells that can keep the playing fields from becoming unusable in the fall, I'd like to continue to do that unless our water and superintendent says that the wells are at a dangerously low level. I mean, my understanding of why we went to the water ban was due to the drought and also because of the fact that something like the strain on the water supply would cause more of the brown water to happen. Am I understanding that right? I thought that's what he told us at that meeting. And again, I'm not an expert in this area. I go by what he said, that I wouldn't want people to have brown water during the drought. And that's why he asked all the people on town water to curtail outside watering. I guess I would wait to hear from the superintendent about what else he would recommend if our wells are at any kind of a dangerous level. We always seem to be the town that didn't have to have a water ban, and I always thought we were really fortunate that way. I think this is the first time during the time I've lived in town that I've had a complete water ban. The other times it's been water at night, not a complete ban. So I think this is an extraordinary period of time, and I guess part of me wondered, again, going back to numbers, now is the water department going to collect enough money to pay its bills, because the people are still working and the amount of water that's pumped out really doesn't affect their operating cost. And I wondered if we should be approaching the state, because this is a very, very unusual weather pattern, highly unusual drought. And the state seems to have a lot of extra money that they didn't give back to us in tax relief. So maybe they could give it back to us in the form of water fund relief, since we're not going to collect enough. And they would have to go into their reserves. Is that something the board would be willing to put forward as a request to our representatives and senator? Ask the state for some help?
Comments? Go ahead, Mark.
Well, so more or less we got people complaining that we're watering downtown and the baseball fields, right?
Yeah, and I think that the town should be setting an example, even though they're off of a well, and a lot of people don't realize that.
Okay.
But they think that the town should set an example.
Well, my only suggestion is when Elm Park, all those trees die and everything, just pave the whole thing, make it all hot top. We're not gonna spend another $1 million down there to redo everything. So,
Yes, you want to speak on that?
just my opinion.
Cut all the trees down.
I just want to say my daughter is an environmental engineer, and she sent me a
Could
map.
you identify yourself and speak up,
Oh, sorry.
please?
Diane Plantamura, 22 Mill Street, Groveland. My daughter is an environmental engineer, and she sent me a map of all New England where the drought is the worst. We are the worst in all of New England in this area. Just want to let you know.
Thank you. Dan?
Why can't we just put some big hoses in the Merrimack and still pump some more water out? I mean, why can't we pump more water? I mean, I see water. They tell me it's not water. I mean, it's, you know, maybe we need a desalinization plant. Is that what you're thinking? You know, maybe, you know, we get a consultant in here from Israel. But I don't know. I want facts. To me, this is like global warming, you know? So, what's the cause of it? Yeah, it hasn't rained. What's the water table? Get the backhoe out and dig a hole, see if it perks,
Do,
My basement's still wet.
you know?
do you want to,
But seriously, to his point, what, you know, without hard facts, what are we gonna do? Not water the fields, and we're gonna spend what, umpteen thousands and tens of thousands of dollars to redo the fields, kill all the trees. I mean, I think you're being facetious, but the point's taken. What do we do? Just neglect everything, let everything die, and then, you know. So we need to know how much water we really have, how far we can go.
do you want to have the water superintendent come in?
Yeah,
next
hurricane season's what, a month away, not even, September, and then it'll be like, you know, coming down and cats and dogs, and people will forget all about the drought. So can we get to September? You know?
Can we have, see if we can get the superintendent in for the next meeting, and,
The well downtown, you can open it up and see water 20 feet down, so.
No problem then.
All
I'm just saying for,
no, we'll have the water superintendent come in at the next meeting and answer some questions.
We can all walk across the Merrimack River.
Town
you know.
administrator time.
I don't have much. I only have 2 items. One is to inform the board that the Ferry House Festival will be back at Beasley Memorial Park this year on Saturday and Sunday, September 17th and 18th, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And then also to alert the board to an incident that occurred over the weekend at 150 Center Street. The Cricket League, their permit had been revoked due to the fact that they had again cut our lock, and they were not abiding by the rules with the facilities that they brought in. They weren't locking them, so people were stopping by to use the facilities. There was no oversight. They were notified on August 1st that their permit had been revoked, and that once we had a new key, they would no longer be able to access the key, that we were going to call the rental company and have the facility removed from the site, and that their game on August 13th needed to be relocated to another field. We reminded them on August 9th that, again, these were the conditions and they had violated the permit, and the permit was revoked. The league went to the police station. They asked for the key on August 13th. They were told they could not have the key because their permit had been revoked. They went to the field anyway and went around the gate and decided to play. So the police department were called to go down and ask them to leave. The league said there was an issue with communication, and they didn't get the email, and they didn't know. They begged, they pleaded, and so we decided to allow them to play the one last game, and told them that they were no longer able to utilize the field. They needed to remove all their equipment within 48 hours of notice, and that the police would be monitoring to make sure they had not used the field.
Questions? Go ahead.
What was the revocation process? Who did that? The board?
Through the conditions set by the permit when we voted on it. There were conditions that were put onto the use of the field, that they would not cut the lock or else it would be revoked. They would lock the porta potties every single time after, and they would make sure that it was maintained and that nobody was utilizing them other than the field, or the permit would be revoked.
So you revoked it?
So revoked it, based upon the conditions set by the Board of Selectmen.
All right. I just, yeah. I didn't know if they'd want to rebut it, you know?
Not yet, anyway.
Not anyway, but no matter how thin the coin, it has 2 sides. Maybe someone else came along and cut the lock, and it just happened to be cut, you know what I mean?
Anybody else?
Deny it.
Yes.
Go ahead.
In addition to the lock being cut, wasn't there also an issue with the portable bathroom being left unlocked, and what happened in the bathroom then?
People were just utilizing the bathroom.
It got pretty destroyed,
Yeah.
right? So again, another mess for the town to clean up. I think, you know, enough is enough. We were pretty clear when they came in for the permit about what the conditions were. So I think you did a great job. Thank you.
Okay. That's it?
All I have.
Nothing else? Selectmen's time and reports. Kathy, you have anything?
Not really. I've been away, so I had a nice time on the Cape. But I also just wanted to give a shout out to Rebecca for getting the rain barrels. I already have one, so I'm not saying that because I got a free one. I already bought one. But during this drought, my rain barrel, which is positioned under my roof, and my husband, who's Mr. Gadgets, put something that makes the water go right into it. has been fairly full almost the whole summer. I mean, I think there was one time I drained it completely, watering my vegetables and my flowers. So it is a good idea, the rain barrel idea. So thanks for doing that. I think it's great.
Jason, you have anything?
Not today.
Dan, you got anything?
No.
Mark?
I did, but I already forgot, so save it for next week, I guess.
And I don't have anything.
What the hell was it?
Old or unfinished business? I don't think we had anything there.
The building committee thing tomorrow. Pentucket.
Yes.
I have a question for you.
I'm gonna try to attend, Jason. Trying very, very hard, diligently.
God help them.
Would you like me to come pick you up and take you there?
I actually could
Happy
use a
to.
ride, I could, you know.
I'll be happy to.
I'd like a company car with a blue plate. But anyways,
I don't have a blue plate, but I can
I
get
want
you
a
there.
blue plate, special.
Kathy, you had something?
Well, I just was wondering, since he's going, if you could find out if we were going to get an opportunity to get a preliminary look at the building. I'd love to get inside and take a look.
I will request a grand tour. Can we do that, Rebecca?
Certainly make a request.
Maybe you could request it, because if I ask for it, it'll be denied, so I'll just.
Prior to opening, I think they should.
Yeah,
It'd be nice.
yeah.
Actually, that should be open to everybody. The townspeople ought to be able to get a look and see what their tax dollars have gone and paid for.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything about it, but I'm sure.
Yeah,
I believe they're just waiting for the final CO. Once they get their CO, they'll be able to determine when walkthroughs occur, PTA.
And is school gonna open on time? The building gonna be ready?
I believe so.
You'll find out tomorrow night.
I'll let Rebecca do all the talking. I think that'd be in the best interest of the town. If that's okay with you.
Okay, sure.
We'll get a tour. They should have like a grand opening, ribbon cutting ceremony with like a buffet.
I think they plan to do a tour. I just don't know when and specifically how they're going to break it down within the different groups.
And when's school supposed to open?
I believe September 6th.
Oh, okay, so they got 3 weeks, maybe.
I want to see the basketball court. I hope it's like, nice wood.
Compared to what?
Well, some of the floors in high schools, they're like rubberized or whatever. It's slippery, it's dusty, it's awful. So I just hope they got a wood floor. That's what all I care about.
Okay. Other items not reasonably anticipated at the time of posting? Anybody
Mr.
got
Chair,
anything?
I do have something that came in. The Groveland Congregational Church came in this afternoon, and they wanted the board to approve their special event permit for a yard sale that they hold annually on September 10th. I had not had time to add it to the agenda and stated that there would typically need to be an official vote of approval, but the woman was nervous that they wouldn't be able to advertise appropriately for the event, and so I stated I'd try and see whether or not the board had any concerns about holding the event and note such concerns, and if they didn't have any concerns, we could put it on the agenda for the 29th and have a formal vote of approval then, but if there was no initial concerns, they would be able to start advertising as they have done years prior.
Saturday, September 10th, hours?
Those hours would be from Saturday mornings at 7 would be their setup for their tables, and then the time would be 1 to 2, it looks like.
Gotta be more hours
That
than
must be
that.
the breakdown. So 7 to 2, I would say, just based upon the way that you wrote it. Saturday morning 7, and then it says 1 to 2. But I would imagine it's 7 to 2.
But do they know it's Groveland Day, or are they trying to tag on to Groveland Day?
For this one is at Perry Park.
Right, but they're tagging on to probably because people are out, yeah.
Anita, you, why don't you come up to the podium?
We're trying to find a document now that seems to be missing from the posting board. This morning when I came in, the Council on Aging was on the agenda on the back page for a continuation of discussion of the assistant director's salary, for clarification of the assistant director's salary. I specifically came in because it's Monday, and I thought maybe the agenda had changed, and when I turned the page over, it was still there. So we're here to address from last month's meeting, or
Okay,
last-
yeah, I thought we were supposed to bring that up again.
Yeah, it was in writing on the document that was clipped to that board this morning.
Oh.
But it's not there now, and we don't know where it went. And
they-
apparently, we're not on your agenda.
Good time to bring it up under items not reasonably anticipated at the time of posting. Go ahead.
Well, that's a.
Old business. Go ahead.
Old business?
Well,
Point of order, have we finished the yard sale thing?
what's that?
The yard sale.
What about?
Well, we didn't do anything.
Yeah, we need to vote on that. Oh, I thought you had something on the yard sale. Hold on, don't go away from the podium.
We don't need an official vote because it should be put on the agenda as an actual vote.
Okay.
If there's any concerns or if you would have any opposition, that they be notified so that they knew what they were up against.
So we just need really to give them the okay to go and start advertising, and we'll take a formal vote in 2 weeks.
Essentially, but if you had any concerns, to let them know before, prior.
No, I don't think so. They've been doing it for quite a few years, and they do a pretty good job. Motion to allow them to advertise for September 10th, 7 to 2. And then we'll take a formal vote on the approval of the permit on next meeting.
We wanted to vote?
Did you just make the motion, or?
All right, I'll make it. Second, Mark just seconded it. There's a motion and a second to give them the okay to advertise. And for September 10th, nobody seems to have any, all in favor? Unanimous. Thank you. Anita, why don't you,
I'm just going to make an introduction. I watched the meeting from 2 weeks ago where
I think we clarified our discussion from the meeting in question.
okay. One of the problems we have is what we're viewing as a jurisdictional overreach by the TA. And we wanted to try and resolve this.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman.
State your point of order.
If somebody is going to make a complaint about a town employee, it's supposed to be in writing, and they're supposed to give that town employee 48 hours.
Thank you,
notice.
Kathleen.
I haven't heard making a complaint against the town.
Just identified that there's an overreach by the town administrator. That, I view that as a complaint. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
My opinion is that
she
we
will,
can't do
Correct.
this.
You're correct. It is a complaint.
Okay,
But
so it
a
can't
month
be heard
ago,
yet.
a month ago,
Mr.
you all
Chairman?
received a
Point of order.
40-page.
Hold on, Anita.
My point of order is that I think it's improper for us to hear it at this moment in time without her first putting it in writing and following the due process, if you please.
Isn't she,
That's an introductory statement. That's all that was.
if
I'm
you,
not
as long as you
discussing that
don't,
per
as
se.
long as you don't mention people, personalities, and then if,
Fine. Fine.
if we need to hold you up after, we'll.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm just saying that I watched your meeting, and my reason for being here today is that we had a board meeting of the Council on Aging a couple of months ago now, and we voted to use formula grant funds to support a position that the town has not funded, but approved. We have enough money to get through December, and we've applied for another grant that we should hear in October. Whether we got it or not, we're pretty confident we're going to get it. Our board approved that. It's an autonomous board that approved that. You guys then, not 2 weeks ago, but 2 weeks before that at a meeting, said, what are we here for? If you have the money, you can do it, kind of thing. I remember you saying that. And then certain things happened. So that's two boards that sanctioned the use of our formula grant money to support the salary that's commensurate with an assistant director position. So we thought we were okay. Then there was some problems, which we tried to solve informally and have not yet solved. And then the last 2 weeks, you guys had it on the agenda again to undo, without any discussion with the Council on Aging Board, without any discussion with any of the leadership, you undid your support for something you supported 2 weeks before.
Well, I didn't look at it as undoing.
So
I looked
I'm-
at it as
I'm-
clarifying our vote from
Okay,
prior.
but we never got any explanations for that. We never got any reasons for it. We still believe you are incorrect on that.
Could we have it quiet down there, please?
Sure. Yeah. And I'm simply saying that you also know, at your urging, we did file a complaint, a 40-page documentation.
Okay, I got to stop you there.
Okay. And we asked for it to be addressed. So one of the reasons I am personally here today is it appears that some of your board members, even though they were sent copies of a 40-page document detailing our problems, this being one of them, appears to, it's a month now and it has not been responded to. So we would like a status report on when we can expect a response from the chair on that complaint, in any form, whether it's executive or open. I have no problem with either. The problem for us is we normally would try to solve these things informally, but the position that we're filing the complaint against also houses the personnel and the HR responsibilities. There's a tremendous conflict of interest there. And recusal should be indicated. So we need some guidance on how you are viewing it and how you intend to deal with it. I don't think I'm being unreasonable. In the interim,
Well,
because of the toxic environment,
after I
we've lost a director.
After I received the complaint, I contacted town council, and that was 3 weeks ago. Well, it was right after you gave us the complaint, and how long ago was that?
It's a month now.
A month?
Yeah.
Well, I'm still waiting to hear back from town council. I called him, I got his personal cell phone, I didn't hear back. He said, this is a personal cell phone, I'll call you back. I let it go 4 days, I didn't hear from him, I called back, and I'm still waiting, and they haven't been very responsive to that.
I'm sorry to hear that. I wish we'd known that. That would have at least been assuaged some of our anxiety. We have been in contact with Senator Tarr and the community outreach staff, Mary Ann Ney, who is also a selectman, for guidance on going forward, despite the fact that Amanda will be leaving at the end of this. I could just cry. At the end of this week, will not eliminate our interest in this complaint. So in her absence, as a member of the Personnel Board with the subcommittee of the board, with Irene Thomas, I would appreciate any advance notice or feedback or whatever you can give us as to when we can expect a response and what you would expect from us on that. And whether we should have a mediator or an ombudsman on our part, because it seems to me town council and all of you have closed ranks.
I think we need direction from town council, and I'll ask Rebecca to
It's a tough one.
see if she can get some response, because he wasn't responsive to me. Dan, go ahead.
Yeah, if I could, I mean, I asked you, I wanted to make sure I got it right, and it's important to me that I get good facts. Good facts generally make good decisions, and bad facts, you get what you get. So I thought the narrow issue, and again, I'm not going to address, what you just said about the complaint. You heard that.
No.
You heard what we
Let's
said.
talk about the salary.
I understand that. Let's just narrow issue, focus on,
Okay.
set me straight if I'm wrong, but my understanding was that you had the funds, okay? It wasn't counting your birthday money before your birthday, so to speak. It wasn't the chickens that hadn't hatched.
Correct.
You had funding. You needed the approval of the Board of Selectmen.
No.
Why did we vote on it then? I mean, and
Because,
and I don't want to.
because the town administrator asked the director to bring it before the committee.
Because,
We've never done that before.
but I'm going to be.
This is an internal
All right.
personnel
All
issue.
right. So that's a confusion to me. I mean, why, you know, and
I thought we had fixed that.
excuse my brevity, you know, I'm going to be blunt on this. It's like, if you don't need our authorization, then why were you here?
Because your town administrator recommended that we come here.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken, you did.
Because
And
We
the
did
director
because
was
there was not
instructed to come
sufficient
here.
funds in the account to put forward the salary that they were proposing for the individual. So
Well, that-
because there was not adequate funding
Yeah.
to carry out the fiscal year, and that a reduction in pay would have been requested if the grant was not received, is why it was brought before the Board of Selectmen.
So therein lies is a difference in facts. Is the light red or green? So you're saying you had funds. I'm hearing over here, no.
What we explained to you 4 weeks ago was that we have a formula grant that will cover that salary through the end of December. At that time, we would, in October, we expect to hear from the DOT grant that will be the funds that will run from the end of December to June 30th, I believe it is, in '23. It's just covering that little break of time. We have the money through to December, and it's the Council on Aging's authority to use that money. Nobody, it's not town money. It's Council on Aging money, specifically check written to the Council on Aging.
Including the pay rate increase, which is what
formula
I thought
funds-
you were here for
Formula
us.
funds allow for a wide variety of costs to promote, enhance, and support the health, well-being, and independence of seniors in the community. Funds may be used for salary, direct services such as outreach and transportation, health screening, fitness instruction, and so on. It is appropriate to use it for salary, and that is exactly what we were doing. And we have the wheels in motion and are very encouraged and received encouragement that the small amount of money, because of the large amount that people ask from this company, this group, that we are likely to receive this without any question. It's that small an amount of money to supplement her to the end of the fiscal year 2022.
So on a chance you didn't get the funds, you'd run out of money, and you'd have to let people go. I mean, could that happen?
No, it wouldn't be letting her go. It would be, she'd be shorted, and she's agreed to that. She understands that that's the risk she's taking.
How can you be shorted as an employee? That's where I beg to differ with your unemployment law. There's no IOUs, there's no,
No, there's no IOU.
you know?
But she understood that
She would revert back to the old
she would
rate?
revert back to the old pay for
Okay.
that brief period of time.
All right.
Because we're going before town,
You have a point of
and
order?
it's
No, I
signed.
want to follow up on what Dan is saying.
Well,
Okay.
let him finish.
No, I just, because you and I engaged in this, and I thought I had it. It was
thought
that
we agreed.
You were here on a differential in pay, and I wanted to make sure you had the funds, because my understanding is Omnibus set a certain amount, and for us to spend over that is, you know, it's a battleground here on transfers, and do we have authority to do it? And
Right.
town meeting has spoken,
Right.
okay?
Right.
So, there we were.
So right now, we have an assistant director of the Council on Aging with no salary attached to it, uncompensated. And that's how it's going to stay, because of the vote you took the other day.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
I'm going to just tell you what the information that's been presented to me as a member of the board. It was presented to me through the Council on Aging that the job description change carried with it no change in salary. That was what was presented to me at the time when the job description changed, because the budget was too tight. Let me just say what I'm going to say. And then at the meeting, when we were brought forward the request to change the salary, this is an unusual request for us, so we took some time with it. And as Dan said, we were concerned about the availability of the grant. So the question was asked, and I believe it was Dan that said that, well, should we wait till the grant is in hand? Should we table this till the grant was in hand? The response was that the executive something grant was already in hand. And so my understanding from that point, that question and that answer, was that it was a single grant that was necessary to fund the salary for the year. And that was what prompted me to say, okay, I'll be honest, I'm very concerned with the use of a grant it's almost doubling the salary, and I'm not saying the employee doesn't deserve it or isn't worth it. I'm not an expert in that area, but I am saying from a financial standpoint, from a fiscal standpoint in the town, when I see an employee agreeing to take literally a 50% wage cut if something doesn't come in, I feel that we're doing some pretty unusual stuff. I know that I'm pretty sure, and I'm not the accountant, but the accountant I'm sure could tell us specifically, but I believe there is a definite problem with us expending the money and then trying to recover it from a grant. I don't think we're allowed to do that. Like the general fund, the tax fund is one fund, and the town meeting voted to set the salary as it did from the general fund. So when we step outside that, it becomes more difficult, and I think the point is that we were just trying to make sure that the vote was clear, and the vote that was taken at that one time, on that night, was that this whole thing was contingent on that one grant. Now, as I understand it, I wasn't here, but I read the transcript and watched the meeting before. It's actually 2 grants that were needed. So that creates a further complication because the other grant doesn't come in till midway through the fiscal year. So I don't think we're doing anything improper. I don't think the town administrator has done anything more than implement the votes of the board. And I think in good conscience, we were trying to assist the Council on Aging in what they were trying to do. And I remain committed to that, and I see people shaking their head, no, we didn't do that. But that is what I was trying to do. That is what I continue to try to do. I would like to see the chairperson of the Council on Aging to come in and just explain maybe more about the history of the change in the position and everything, because maybe we're not fully informed on everything. And maybe we don't need to be involved in it. I don't know. But I think at this moment in time, having this discussion that's not on the agenda that I received in my packet, I think is a violation of open meeting law. I don't think we should be having this discussion.
Ms. Castronellis, with all due respect, the job description that we actually worked on very hard, 2.5 months, was completed in January of '22, was submitted to the town administrator, who I believe is your source person.
I'm not discounting that. I'm just saying this discussion is improper. We should have posted, if there was going to be a complaint, you should have put it in writing. We're outside the open meeting law right now.
You're mixing 2 pieces of information.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not, Anita. We don't have,
the complaint,
on my agenda, this is
the
not
complaint
here.
is in writing. And in your last meeting,
It's not on my agenda tonight.
It was on the agenda this morning. I can't explain where
Kathy,
it went.
just, this is, we're taking this up under other items not reasonably anticipated at the time of
Well,
posting, and there are other items that we take up under this that's not specifically
We have an immediate
listed.
problem, and that is, I have an assistant, I have a spectacular loss here in a director who's done more in 8 months than we've been able to get done in 3 years. And I'm losing her as of Friday. That leaves me with an assistant director who really isn't an assistant director because she's in an unfunded position. You want to talk about IOUs? Because you're interfering with our ability to pay her through the means that we have the authority to do. It doesn't need your vote. Now, you may object to the other grant, and maybe we're not doing that part right. Maybe October isn't soon enough for you. But we have enough money to pay her through December because the Finance Committee never forwarded the information that we were asking for and the job description to you in a timely fashion. The school consumed all of the oxygen in the room with respect to budgets in the Council on Aging. And in the middle of all of this, How many assistants have been appointed? 6? The treasurer went from $55,000 a year to $75,000 a year.
Mr. Chairman.
and we
I
can't-
don't
Point of
think we
order.
need to get into that.
But we can't
Kathy,
get any money
what's your
for this
point of order?
That we are just so far outside unanticipated now. It's just a rant, and I
Right.
don't think it's
So,
proper.
Mr.
here's
Chair.
the problem for you going
Hold on,
forward.
hold on, Anita. Dan, go ahead.
What I'm hearing from you is you have the money through December, okay?
Correct.
So if you don't need our permission or authority, and I'm not sitting here telling you you do, I'm telling you I don't know.
You don't.
Okay, fine. Assuming that's correct, then why don't you proceed, spend the money through December? But you proceed at your own peril if you don't get that second grant.
We're willing to accept that.
Oh, there
And
it
we
is
were-
on camera.
We were 4 weeks
That
ago.
work, Rebecca?
Town
Can she?
council advised that we don't do
Bingo.
reduction in pays for employees, because like you said, it's like an IOU. So they advised that if you should just wait until you get the funds, and then they'll get the funds, and all money is yours to use.
No.
Hold on.
If she wants,
Hold on, please.
if Anita wants to spend
The director.
the,
Well, whoever the director's.
okay, you're the spokesperson here. You want the new rate. So that burns through money quicker, right? Than a smaller pay rate, right? And if you run out of money, then you have 0 in December. True? And then what?
No. We have the money to pay her through the end of December
With the new rate,
with the new rate.
pay increase.
And then we have another grant supporting, we'll know in October.
Just appease me for a second. What if they pull the rug out from under you, Lucy, in the football like Beacon Hill does with us so often here? They just and then what do? You sue these people? I mean, what do you do?
Okay.
So I haven't read the document. Maybe it's ironclad, set in stone, and you're going to get it, okay? But
Could you hold off so we can hear from the finance board?
Yeah.
A member of the finance board here.
there we go. Just want to know if they have the money, Mr. Chairman.
Sarah McGrath, Vice Chair of the Finance Board, 427 Main Street in Groveland. So, a few questions. If this happens, right, I'm always looking at the negative side, right, working finance. If this happens and it doesn't get funded, will the town have to pay that? Or does it open us up for a lawsuit that we would, and that's all my concern here, is I just want to be super clear that if that's what happens and this does go through and everything gets paid and we all walk away and everybody's happy, fine with it. But if we don't, what happens? And I want to know that from town council, 100%, what's going to happen. I don't think that we can go on what ifs and that. I think it needs to be ironclad, 100%, and we know what's going to happen.
So this position has been paid from the formula.
Can you stand up?
Yeah, thanks. This position has been paid from the formula grant since 2017. No grants are guaranteed ever. We've been paying $7,000 out of it for years now. Prior to that, it was outreach for a Monday position that was then allocated to program and transportation. It's really not substantially more, and it's still not using the full amount of the grant. The grant is $16,000. It's only gonna be $11,000. There's still gonna be a remaining $5,000 in that grant. The individual has already signed an agreement that if the grant happens to fall through, that they will not get those funds after December 29th. Technically speaking, they could be paid further on, but it just seemed too risky to do so. No grants are ever guaranteed. Anybody who gets paid via grants. That's just how it's always been done. In the past, the COA has never even had to explain that on the payroll change form. This is new. I spoke to the former director who stated that they have always made it very clear. Anybody who's paid anything through a grant, it's never guaranteed. And they have to sign an agreement stating as such. If the grant falls through, they will not receive those funds and they will revert back to what the town allocated towards their money.
So let me just, so that we're clear. You have a grant for 15,000.
16,000, yes.
16?
Yes.
Okay. And so within that $16,000 grant, you have enough money to pay till the end of December.
Technically, December 29th, 11,018 out
Okay.
of that grant.
Okay.
I'm leaving a remaining.
Then, and the
area.
individual has agreed that if you don't get the second grant, that she will revert back to her original salary.
Yes,
I believe
signed
that's
agreement
what
that
Anita
was-
was saying.
Yes, and it was submitted with that documentation. that
Yes, yeah, I remember
formal
that.
complaint. Yeah, it's all in there, and the emails.
Any questions?
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead, Dan.
I'll accept that as long as she knows that, so there won't be any issue of owing her or retroactive. It's like, you
Nope.
know what? We don't have the money, so you can continue to work for less money, or
Yeah, I mean,
it's an employee at will,
yeah,
period.
and so we won't spend over the town budget. We understand that the town doesn't
Employee
have
at
the
will?
money.
Town council said that that's not a viable legal document. For them to sign a paper that says that they, what's to say they weren't coerced? There's ways that they could still file a grievance over a
understand.
document that they put together. And town council says, why open up the town to such liabilities when all they have to do is wait until January 1st and they will get all of that money retro. They will get a 7.6% increase as of July 1, and then they will get a 38% increase as of January 1.
So they,
All they said was wait until January, you will get all of the funds that were promised you the entire year. You will get every single cent.
retroactively?
Every single cent will be given to you as soon as the grant is awarded. So why open up the town to legal liability if you do not have the money as of yet?
What if the grant doesn't come through? How is it any different?
Because then the town doesn't open itself up for any liabilities as to changing the rate and giving her more additional money.
Anita, can you go ahead?
We would have enough money to finish the year. That's
Exactly.
Yes.
challenging.
Rebecca, on several occasions, we sought you out, trying to figure out why there was another vote with the selectmen reverting, changing the first one that they made, we thought was solved. And we kept asking you, and you said you called town council.
I think we're getting,
She talked to town council, but never gave us an explanation.
I think,
understand what
Anita,
I'm saying?
I'm gonna have to stop you there. You're starting to get into he said, she said, or whatever. I think I explained that the meeting 2 weeks ago, the Board of Selectmen reaffirmed or,
Reversed.
excuse me?
Clarified.
You
We
reversed.
clarified what the original vote was supposed to be. Go ahead.
But it was a reversal, which left us not being able to pay her from now to December.
The
The new
timesheet that she
rate.
submits.
Go ahead,
The
you
new
had
rate.
something?
So what you did
Hold on
was
a minute,
reverse.
Rebecca had a comment.
The timesheet that we are signing off on has the rate that's set without that money, the additional 9,000. Once that money comes in, the rate will change, the timesheet will change, another pay rate change form will be submitted, and they will get those monies. So she's not being denied any other wages other than what the Council on Aging has stated they will pay her without having the monies to do so.
Go
I
ahead.
don't believe that's accurate, or I'm misunderstanding what you're saying. So currently, the town pays for 30 hours of the assistant director position. 7 hours have been funded through the formula grant for the last 6 years. What I had proposed forward was an increase in the formula grant hours and a decrease from what the town hours. So I don't have it right in front of me, but I believe it increased 14 hours into the formula grant and then decreased what the hours were for the town. Again, not spending over the town budget, staying within that agreement that we would fully fund that position, as we have been doing since 2017, to give an appropriate pay rate to a staff member that's been here 17 years.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
I did watch the meeting that I missed, and I got a transcript of it, because you're able to do that on the internet. And you didn't vote. You just said, and this must have probably been you stating, I don't think we need to vote as long as we have our clarification, and then they can come in at the next meeting. So I don't think there was any additional voting. I don't see a vote in this transcript, and I reviewed the video. I didn't see a vote. I just saw that they clarified. I wasn't at the meeting, so I did take the time to do the transcript. So I don't see a vote here.
So it was made pretty clear to me via email, which was also submitted to the Board of Selectmen, that that pay rate would not go through as such. So I wanted to make sure my staff member was paid. So I put forth what was initially recommended by the town administrator, because I just cannot pay staff,
Right.
just due to a discrepancy. And I requested a meeting that never occurred, and that was on July 15th.
Okay, I'm just addressing Anita's
of course.
point that the vote.
When do
there
you
was
expect the
reversal.
second
There was
grant?
no reversal. There's no reversal.
By October?
No, I
Excuse
have
me?
I have a draft. I'll look through it. So October, executive approval. So actual documentation, but I won't be here, so that would be whoever the new director would be and/or the chair would have to oversee that.
Rebecca?
No, just that the pay rate, change form like we submitted gives a rate that starts as of July 1 and goes until, February 3rd, and then increases substantially once the next pay period hits, and a total allocation of the $58,000 that they promised the employee. $11,018 coming from the formula grant, $9,000 coming from the new grant that they propose to get and will get the money for as of January 1.
So what is the harm in waiting until October till you get the second grant? And then, based upon the comment from the town council, the ruling, that the paperwork that she agreed to is not a binding document. So what would be wrong with waiting until you get the grant and then pay it retroactively?
I mean, the money's there already. It
But
just-
didn't you, but the town council said that the agreement that she came up with, that if it's not received by December 31st or 29th, whatever, that she would revert back to her regular salary. The town council said that's not a binding document. So, is there a problem waiting until October?
I mean, technically speaking, no grants are guaranteed, and the staff member has always been paid 7 hours.
I
And they
disagree.
would then have to revert back to 30 hours.
We get grant money all the time. We get a certain allocation unless it's a reimbursement grant.
Yep.
Grants are you give a lump sum of money, or you hit milestones and you get money, or you submit reimbursement charges like we do for Chapter 90 and others, and then those monies are reimbursed. When you have a select money, for the formula grant, we get $16,000. You are allocated $16,000. You have that money. How you use that money is up to the COA, and no one is refuting that, but you have that $16,000 that the state has. That an extra $9,000 being allocated to the salary, we do not physically have that in hand. And all the proposal was is to say she can have that money, just give us the notice that says you received that grant award and call it a day.
That's the formula grant, though.
But that is the formula.
So technically speaking, that Mass DOT grant would have to be applied to every single year. So then if it wasn't applied to by the next director, then that employee would therefore go back, revert once again without that $9,000
So
out of
where
their
is the
salary.
$9,000 coming from next fiscal year?
So that would be your next director would have to apply for that grant.
That's what I'm saying. We don't have the
Go ahead,
money.
Then
Anita.
you're saying that that money could never be spent then, because you're assuming the fact that the next director is always gonna spend
As soon as
it.
you apply for a grant, you get the grant award. The award says you get X amount of dollars. So if you got $9,000, that says you have $9,000 to use at your will. Until you have that notice that says you have $9,000, then you don't have $9,000 to spend. But if you have to apply for it next year, then again, they're tying the position to the grant. We're not tying the position to the town operating budget or a formula grant that cannot cover the position moving forward. We're tying it specifically to a grant, which when you apply for, you have to advocate what tasks, what duties, what hours are being associated with such grant in order to receive those funds by the state. So all I'm trying to do is tie the grant to the position and not award monies that we don't have until we have a formal award. Then as soon as the formal award comes in, the Council on Aging, in my opinion, is free to spend those monies towards her salary in any way, shape that is legally founded under the contract of award. That, all I'm trying to say, straightforward.
So that's what you're gonna end up saying for the following year too, though, because it's just a continuation.
No. That's not,
Unless the
that's
town
not
wants
what the
to,
board,
unless
that's
the
not what the
town
board
wants to
will be
fund
asking.
$9,000,
It's,
then
if it's grant-based, it's grant-based. If it's omnibus-based, it's omnibus. So there's the distinction within it.
We,
So what are you spending? Are you spending omnibus budgeted funds, or are you spending grant money? Now.
We're spending grant money. Grant money.
And you have it.
We have it. We have the $16,000. Here's the balance sheet.
$16,000, how much of that funds the outreach coordinator? How much of that funds the van driver? Does
We're all
$16,000
taken care of.
go directly to?
So it only funds 1,800 for outreach, it funds 0 for the van driver.
We manage all this stuff and have for years. That's why we have our own treasurer.
But I'm saying that the $16,000 is less than the total allocation of the monies you want to give one person.
Right. Correct. We reclassified the position and did a study of 10 other positions, assistant director positions, compared their salaries, compared the job descriptions, and put forth to the finance committee what we recommended as what should be the new annual salary commensurate with the job duties. Just like any other job position, we hope the town, it would be taken to the town, and that $20,000 should be approved by the town. Ultimately, it should be a salary that's not dependent on grants. But right now, because of the situation we ran into with the schools, in January, maybe 12th, we met with the finance committee, and they told us don't even bother asking for money. So we couldn't even put a warrant out there and say, can we ask for this? Because she said, we're not gonna approve it. So what we had to figure out, we went ahead and reclassified the job, which is our authority to do. And then we wanted to bring it before town, but with the school thing and the Prop 2.5 override, it was recommended that it was a hopeless situation and we wouldn't do that. So what we did was work our numbers so that we knew the formula grant would pay that's a chunk of that money through December, and apply for another grant that would take care of us this year. Our intention is to come before town and ask for that salary to be that's if the Collins people don't do it before us, which, Ms. Castronellis, I think even in the very first time we talked about this, you said that there's no guarantee even when the Collins people come in with their recommendations that the salaries will be adjusted appropriately. So we were feeling a little hopeless about this, but we know people are getting money, so we just would like a piece of that pie. So we're willing to go before town and present our case, present our job description, and make our appeal for a good, generous, reasonable, low-end salary for an assistant director position for a town this size next year. We're just trying to bridge this year and give the girl what she deserves. And it's been pulling teeth. We're just struggling with it. And it doesn't need to be like that.
We'll hear from the finance board again. You had a question or comment?
Sarah McGrath again, 427 Main Street. I just want to clarify, the finance board never said that to not bother. We had their meeting with them. We took in exactly what they asked for. We told them that we were concerned about the school budget. We spent hours crunching the budget to see if we could improve it. The impression we have is that we will wait. We will get the wage classification study. We will go from there. We want to make a plan. I understand. Can I finish my sentence? Thank you. And that we did not discard what they said. We took it to heart. We agree with them. We understand that. I'll speak from just my perspective. I won't say it as a board. I apologize. But that's what we do on a finance board. We took in everything they had to say. We don't meet with these boards and committees and disregard any of them or what they say. We take it to heart. We go home with it. We crunch numbers. That's what we do. So I just want to clarify that that is not what happened in that meeting that we had with them.
Okay. Anybody, Dan, you got any comments?
Yeah, just what do you propose? I mean, it seems like you either wait until you get the second grant, right, and then you pay them retroactively, and if you're not willing to accept that, it sounds like you don't need our authority in any way, and you want to proceed anyways.
Well, the problem is, the elephant in the room is the phone call to town council. And a recommendation from that individual's point of view that we shouldn't take, that the town should not, you guys, take a risk on our little grant that we're asking for. Hopefully will come in December. And then saying that the agreement that we have in writing and signed is not authentic. That's what the problem is, which means that at the end, if the grant doesn't come in, the person goes back to their salary, and that's it. Then we go to town hall and try to do better.
Mr. Chairman?
Because we have that objection,
Hold on a minute.
it's not gonna happen.
Amelia, go ahead.
I know, we're retreading and retreading, I'll try not to. First of all, one of the biggest reasons that we're in the predicament that we're in right now is because we did rely on a grant for the school budget and it got taken away. So we've been burned on this, okay?
okay.
$250,000 put us in a deep hole. That was supposed to come through and help us pay the school assessment 2 years ago, and that put us way behind. So I think if I'm understanding everything correctly, please don't take this the wrong way, but there continue to be misstatements of what's been presented to us. We were told when we voted this, we were told when we voted on that night, there was a singular grant. Now, I understand
No,
there's
you
two
did
now,
not.
but on that night, excuse me, I looked at the minutes. We asked, where is the money? Because Dan and I were both saying, okay, how do we do this? I was confused. Dan was trying to sort it out. He's the accountant. He said, where's the money? And should we wait till it's in hand? And the answer was, it's in hand. We have the grant. Okay?
Formula grant.
Correct. And then that was all that was spoken of, and our vote that night was contingent on that grant being in hand and being sufficient to fund the whole increase. Now, in hindsight, I will take responsibility as a former finance committee member. I didn't crunch the numbers that night and determine that that money was not sufficient for the salary that you were trying to float. It's not sufficient, and that is the problem. So you need to wait for the other money to come in. We can't expend money we don't have.
Okay, so
I
here's,
just see no fiscal way to do that.
I hear what you're saying, and I'm willing to accept it.
Thank you, thank you.
Even though we have the right to spend that money any way we wish.
Yes.
Here's the problem. We're losing a director on the 19th. The person is walking around with the title of assistant director, but no compensation. She's still making the old money. Guess how long that's going to last? We're going to need somebody covering for the director. And what we're really doing is paying a program and transportation coordinator to do the director's job, when we were hoping we would have an assistant director for exactly these kinds of problems, where she automatically steps in as successor or as interim director. She has a right to refuse that now, because her original job description does not require her to cover anybody. She did it the last time because she's who she is. I don't think she's feeling that kindly anymore. So we've got a significant problem on our hands, and I'll leave it with you to figure out the answer to that.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Sounds like, we need an agenda item for next month, next 2 weeks. Think we can get clarification from town council? Actually, we already got it. So, what's your pleasure?
I think you have to talk to town council based on what we heard tonight and get guidance on what, what to do about her 40-page complaint.
Okay. Why
So
don't-
we need guidance on that, and then we take it from there.
Okay.
We need an executive session, but certainly there's notice requirements, and there's all kinds of procedure on that, and maybe we need another meeting to just listen to the Council on Aging and what do they need. I mean, I want to help them, but I don't know what to do. To be honest with you, I don't know what to do. What do they want?
Can we get speak to town council and,
You're more than welcome to call town council and get
what's that?
You're more than welcome to call town council.
Yeah, I know, I've tried, but I'm not getting a response. And that's one of the reasons I think we should proceed pretty good with this RFP, because I don't think they've been responsive. What's that?
Make a move.
Okay, I think we're all set on that, we'll work on it. Nothing else under items not anticipated. Correspondence, we got, from the water superintendent, we got, his paperwork, as far as the, premium pay. Colin,
I heard you guys had some questions for me, so I figured I'd answer them tonight.
Well,
instead of coming
can we go back to, oh, you didn't want to come in the next
He
meeting?
doesn't want to come in the next meeting.
Oh, really? Should we make him wait?
No.
All right, you're here.
He's a nice guy.
You're here, go ahead. The question was on the water ban.
Yeah, so a couple things. I sent Rebecca this morning a link to from mass.gov for it's like a model water ban bylaw, updated from the one that we currently have that's in our current bylaws. So in order for me to tell a private well owner that they can't water their lawn, it has to specifically be in the bylaw. It's not currently in our bylaws, so
You can't do it.
I can't do it.
Yeah.
I would be cautious of doing that in the first place. You know, like Ed said earlier, the aquifer is the aquifer. But based on my interaction with people, that probably would not go over very well. And I would not be fielding those, that would be coming to you guys. As far as the town watering with the town private wells, Rennie and I had kind of talked about it. You know, town hall was a non-question because the wells don't work anymore, so it wasn't a problem.
Okay.
The Elm Park has been on and off a problem. There was some issue with the sprinkler system, so they weren't running that for a while. I think it might be working again. I don't know if they're running it or not. Again, I have no jurisdiction over that. And the soccer field in Washington Park, I wouldn't even know who to call to ask. Whoever runs those organizations now, I would assume runs the irrigation systems. It would be a good optic if everyone was following what we were making the water payers do. But again, my opinion doesn't really matter on that because I have no authority over that. When I sent out the code red, I had asked or, you know, suggested that people with private wells abide by what we were doing too, because it's more of a problem for someone with a private well when their well goes dry. You know, if the groundwater level is significantly lower right now than normal. So when their well goes dry, they're in a bad spot. We, as a town, with our water supply, have a few more options. But if you're living out in Rocky Woods, or Rocky Woods has water, but, you know, somewhere up on Uptack and your well goes dry, good luck. Because you got to get a company to come out. Maybe they can fix your well, or they're going to drill a new one. And that's not going to happen overnight. So it was more of a, hey, you might want to think about this for your own good. And to Dan's question, we're not pulling river water. So the aquifer is much lower than it normally would be, just due to lack of rain.
Can you supplement with river water or Johnson Pond?
No. We're
No?
a groundwater only source. So we can't mix them. It would, that $20 million treatment plant that no one wants to pay for,
I want to pay for it.
well,
I'd rather pay for that than clean water than, you know,
any other.
a country club high school, but, you know, that's just me.
Yeah, I mean,
Got
it's,
3 kids going there, too. I don't care, I want bucks. But anyways, I'd like clean water, I do. I drink it in my coffee, and it kind of has this, like, slick on it, you know?
I don't know what you're putting in your coffee, but.
Yeah, 100% Colombian. I only drink the good stuff.
But yeah, I mean, it's, if you want to change the bylaw, I would imagine that's probably a town meeting vote type of thing. But
Do we need a water treatment plant?
the problem's not going to go away by itself.
Well, then we have to address it. You pay
Yeah,
now or you
so-
pay later. It's just deferring it, kicking the can.
There's a couple options that the water board and myself and the engineer are kicking around. One of them is the treatment plant, and the other one is, you know, we can install new wells with lower mineral content. And we've been drilling test wells looking for better water quality. We've found one. We've also found 4 with worse. So there's no magic ball. You drill a hole and you test the water.
How deep are you going?
I think the last one we did was 60 or 80 feet.
That's it?
Yeah, that's the depth of the municipal wells.
Really?
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman?
Go ahead.
So I got my water bill and it wasn't really high, which
Yeah,
is nice.
so I know there's been some
Yeah,
questioning about that.
yeah. What do you think?
So we base our rates off of our lowest water production year within the last 10 years. That's how we set the rate to cover the budget. Obviously, if no one's using water, then we can't charge people more money for water that they've already used. It's illegal, so we can't.
Right.
Whatever our rate is, and whatever water you've already used, that's what we're collecting. At the end of the year, as we get closer to the end of the budget season, we're constantly looking at how much money we're taking in versus how much money we're spending. And if it gets close at the end, then we look and say, all right, well, maybe we can push X, Y, and Z off until next fiscal year. Whether it's, deferring some maintenance on some stuff, or maybe we don't buy a certain chemical that usually we keep a stock of. We'll wait until July 1st and they'll ship it to us July 1st.
I would just think with the drought this summer, the revenue shortfall from the reduction in water use, assuming everybody, I see a lot of dry grass around the town, so I think a lot of people are trying to help you out, but typically, the Keep It Greener Than Your Neighbor contest is on in Groveland, and water bills go way up. I mean,
Yeah,
I've seen really high water bills in the summer.
I could lift the water ban, but then when no one has anything to drink, we're gonna be having a completely different
No, I know that. I'm just wondering, because of it being a force of nature, a drought, it's, and an extraordinary one, if there's any movement, you get anything from the state suggesting that because they have extra money, and we know they do, could we maybe have so that we don't have to curtail budgeted items in our water department?
Yeah, we're,
I mean, how's this different from a hurricane, right? I mean, it's just a longer time period where it's causing the damage. I mean, I might be stretching things, but this does seem extraordinary.
Yeah, it is. I know, we typically don't do water bans unless, we have a well down for maintenance or something,
Right.
and it's the middle of July, that's gonna be a problem.
And when you said water at night, then you'd say just.
Yeah, so
This is
the
a
last
full-
time
Yeah.
I had to do a water ban, it was a series of events, and I put it out 1 week for, like a voluntary, and then something else happened, and the next week I had to escalate it.
Yeah.
And with this drought, there's no end in sight, so I just said, all right, we're going to mandatory. Not that the Code Red system isn't super easy and navigate, so easy that I'm the only one that knows how to use it, but it was easier for me to send out one, because there was no rain coming in sight, and there still isn't, so.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Colin?
What's the fine if you get caught watering your hydrangeas?
So, another quirky part of the bylaw that I'm not sure where it came from, but we have to go to court to collect our fines. So the fine is $50. So how many $50 fines you gotta, it's $50 a day. How much does it cost to bring someone to court to collect $50? Probably a lot more than $50.
Starting to think you shouldn't have said that.
So, I mean, we can hand out as many fines as we want, but if we can change the bylaw to not have to go to court to collect it, I don't have to go to court to collect any other money.
Have you done any yet?
We've handed out a lot of warning letters. Judging by the pumping rate, the hours that the wells are running, most people are listening. I'm sure there's some that aren't. We get a lot of anonymous calls or emails through the website. Conveniently enough, you can anonymously complain and not tell us who you are, where you live, or who you're complaining about. So it makes it pretty difficult to do anything. But we have hand-delivered letters notifying people of the water restriction and that they're not playing nicely in the sandbox. But
All right,
we have not.
anybody else got questions for Colin? Mark? Jason? No. Thank you for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Saved us an agenda.
No, that's town water out of that,
Yeah, my cup is dirty from this morning drinking it, so.
oh, okay.
I mean, the river's going to waste.
Yeah, it is.
Motion to adjourn?
The motion to adjourn, is there a second on that?
Second that.
Mark seconded, no discussion, all in favor of adjournment? Unanimous, next meeting, Monday, August
29.
29th. Had to put my glasses on for that one. Thank you, everybody.